Howdy, and welcome to LeeReads, where I talk about the books I've been reading and enjoying lately. It has been quite rainy, and I'm just in a cozy mood where I want to be in front of the fireplace, and that is why we are recording here today as I tell you about what books I read in January. I actually don't have any of these as physical editions. Two of them were e-arcs, and one is a new release, and then some of the others were mostly audiobooks. And surprisingly, a good selection of the books were a little bit dark and in some unexpected ways. I will start with the newer release first, which is Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. This I didn't think was going to be a gothic style story, but that's what it ended up being. Surprisingly, I was very much drawn to the voice of the main character, who is a very much down on her luck young woman who's been raising her younger brother after their mother's death and is in this little town where nothing really good ever happens. Everyone knows everything about everyone else, and she has been obsessed with this old manor in the city called Starling House. One day she happens to meet the Starling heir, sets in motion this pretty nightmarish chain of events, starts trying to unravel the mystery of what is currently going on with Starling House and how has it impacted her history. And we also have a perspective from the Starling heir. When I say dark, I mean kind of nightmarish with what you're dealing with the house. I said gothic feeling, and that's because there is something going on with the house. It's not just an overt maliciousness. There is a story to be told and a puzzle to be solved. I ended up really enjoying this one. Normally, the extremely attitude-y type main characters don't really do it for me, but the way that the character's voice was written in combination with everything else really kept me engaged. So if you like a contemporary fantasy story with those type of vibes, then I would encourage you to check out Starling House. The next is the last book in the trilogy. It is The Trials of Empire, which is the third book in this, what's the trilogy even called? Empire of the Wolf trilogy? The Justice of Kings and The Tyranny of Faith were some of my favorite books that I've read in the last several years. With each installment, you are building upon the arcana, the magic that's been introduced in the previous one. And then this third one, which I won't spend too much time talking about because it's the final book in a trilogy, that arcana magical build-up really becomes explosive. I thought that the arc of the trilogy was very satisfying. The introspection that you get still following Helena, the clerk of Vumvolt, this Emperor's Justice, as they are dealing with what's going on in the Empire. It really asks some interesting moral questions, not just about law and justice and morality, but like deeper questions that I don't really want to bring up because I don't want to be spoilery. But that book was a wild ride. It was exhausting. It was exhausting, but so good. So get excited if you're a fan of this trilogy, and don't sleep on the final installment. Another sequel I have that was an advanced copy is Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands. A little bit of a step back, a little bit of something lighter compared to the other two reads. However, Emily's adventure here still is rather fraught. It's continuing some of the overarching storylines from Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, except now she is on the hunt to track down this other fairy historian that has gone missing, because that person may hold a key to some information. But it's not as simple as that, and there's a bunch of cool magic and more of the backstory sort of unraveled. and I found myself charmed by this one. It wasn't as whimsical feeling as the first book, even though the first book really deals with the malevolent side of the fairies, all the various types of fairies. So it definitely has that kind of darker side to it, but there's a lot of brevity in the intercharacter relationships between established characters and some new characters that are brought in to give things lots of really interesting dimension. Then the last 3 books that I read this month were actually the final 3 books in the Ravanel Series by Lisa Kleypas. I have finished the series. It was so good. I definitely want to read more by her because this was a 6 or 7 book series, and especially as the series got deeper and deeper, you could really understand why she introduced the characters the way that she did, why different stories were told in the order that they were, because there were some lingering background plots that interwove together. However, it was written in a style where if you hadn't read the previous books, there would be enough context to enjoy the story, but I took a deeper meaning from having followed the entire series and its references and Easter eggs to earlier series. So now I'm going to go back and read an earlier series that is a little bit more detached, but I still expect there's going to be, it's all the same world in London. I'm just looking forward to being still in that world, just in a slightly different time period. Those I mostly read on audiobook because they're available through Hoopla, thankfully. I've started a couple other books, not finished them yet, so nothing else to really report for this month. It has really, really flown by, hasn't it? I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what your favorite book was that you read this month so we can talk about it in the comments. And as always, don't forget to support your local library. Thanks. Bye.